today's speaker is direct from Las Vegas and the R4 convention there. And so she's here to bless us with her knowledge. I appreciate it. Madison, come on.
Gosh, you're nice. That was definitely like a month and a half ago, but direct indeed. Hi guys, good morning. I am so excited for this class because it has been a year and a half, 2 years in the making at this point. AI is a massive, massive topic, and honestly, we're just gonna scratch the surface today because there's so much to talk about. But the crux of this class, and I was so thrilled when Michelle actually let me call it this, is stop using AI for stupid shit. The fact that she approved it was so exciting because that's very on brand for me. Where we're at with agent adoption and AI is, and like I say this as kindly as I can, we're at the stupid shit level and we need to get past it. Okay? And it's only getting more advanced by the day. So if we wait too long to hop on the board here, we're going to have an even harder time keeping up with what's happening. So I'm hoping today will set you in the right direction. Okay? All right. I want to do a little like read the room moment here and quickly do a show of hands. Who in here is using AI of any form to maybe write an email, a social media caption, listing description? Amazing. Okay. Now raise your hand if you're using AI to write drip campaigns, your social media content on all the platforms, email marketing, and all of your listings promotions. Okay, more hands than I thought. That's good. Okay. But there's still a pretty solid gap in what we're using it for. Okay, and we're working today to close that gap a little bit. All right, because really where we're at with the stupid shit I mentioned is using it on the most minimal remedial level. Okay, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's the early stages of learning. It's experimenting and playing and doing the fun stupid shit. All right, but what we want to do is move past that and actually start implementing it in a way that's going to help you build a successful business. And when I was putting this class together, I was watching a couple videos, and some AI expert used the analogy of the way that realtors are using AI right now is the equivalent of having a Ferrari, or insert your preferred sports car here, and driving it to your mailbox, which I think is a really good analogy because that's pretty on par with what we're doing. We're using this absolute mammoth of a tool to do one-off tasks here and there and leaving it at that. Again, there's not anything wrong with that for the most part, but I want us to get past it. Sound good? Fantastic. Okay. Now, these here are the current use cases that I am seeing the most often. And again, with the exception of one of these, I'm not judging you for it. Listing descriptions, okay, that's totally fine. Writing your email communications, rewriting things for you, using it as kind of a search engine. Okay, I will tell you that I don't know if I'll be able to survive another wave of like, this ChatGPT prompt turned my picture into a cartoon. Because I know you all know what I'm talking about, and then everybody posts it, and it kills me. Okay. It's what the kids would call a little like cringy. And we need to move past it. Like there was the candy cane one at Christmas. And then the most recent cartoon like caricature that just happened. And listen, I know you did it, you know you did it. Move past it. Okay? And if you do it again, that's all I'm saying. Okay? This is where we're at. Where in reality what we very easily could be doing is something more along these lines. So building those communication systems, repurposing your social media across platforms, not just one-off captions, building a library and teaching your AI to be more of an assistant. using it in conjunction with Bold Trail or whatever CRM it is you use, building your drip campaigns or website pages, using it for GEO, which I'll talk about really soon. All of these things are so attainable right now with very little, if any, AI experience. And that's what you're going to take from this class. And I'm really excited about it. Okay. We're going to dive in here. And this is my little reality check. I love a reality check. I like to be frank and honest about things with y'all, right? When I first started using AI, truthfully, it felt like I was cheating. Like there was some little like niggly part of my brain that was like, you could do this yourself. Like you're cutting corners, you are taking the easy way out. And we just kind of have to get over that because it's a tool at this point. We have to look at AI as a business tool. It can do things for you so that you can spend more time face-to-face with your clients doing your actual job, not the repetitive crap that takes hours and hours on end, okay? AI doesn't have bad days. AI is not always right, but it's always there. It's always functioning. It doesn't have a day that got completely turned upside down because of a bad, deal falling apart or whatever. It is always there. It's a reliable tool that you should be using. And if we can all shift our mindset to being there, you'll be able to absorb this information and actually use it going forward. So I promise it's not a cheat, it's not a bad thing. It's 2026 and we gotta act like it. All right. Okay. First thing you need to do when you're starting in your AI journey is to know your tools. Now, this is, I kind of feel like the equivalent of what, 10, 15 years ago when there was like a new CRM on every corner, like a new flashy thing, trying to get your attention. And you're like, I don't know which one to use. There are so many. This one says it will, do my laundry or whatever. Like they all have different attributes, but the most important thing when picking when picking an AI tool is picking one that you're going to use, okay? Try and not get distracted by the new one, the flashy. I know it's easy to do, but pick one that you're going to use. Now I'm going to start with these four. These are, based on research, the most popular AI platforms. There's new ones popping up every day, but these are the most used, most frequently used. We're going to start with ChatGPT. Who's ChatGPT? ChatGPT is the OG, okay? ChatGPT has been around since 2022, and within the first 2 months, the stat was crazy. It had, 100 million users in the first 2 months of being publicly accessible, which is wild. Like that is a crazy, crazy number. And for good reason. It's a very simple platform. It does a good job. It's owned by OpenAI. That's their parent company. They have a free version, a paid version. The paid version gets you a little more. It's got the built-in memory, so as you talk to it, it will learn things from you, and you can use that information going forward. We get that. We've done that. We understand it, okay? I used ChatGPT for about a year, and then I met my new best friend. His name is Claude. Claude is owned by Anthropic. It is becoming extremely popular. I don't know what side of TikTok y'all are on, but like everybody that I see talking about AI talks about Claude. Again, free and paid version. But what I love about him, I use him. I don't know, he's a him, right? It is based on the premise of putting out output that sounds not AI-ish, robotic. And it's the most reliable statistically with its output as compared to these other three. Okay, it's got a deeper search capability than the other most popular ones. And the thing that I think is really legit about it is it has a desktop application, which a lot of these do, but the desktop application with Claude comes with two things that are really wild. One is Claude Cowork, one is Claude Code. Code, I haven't really even touched yet because I'm not a web developer, but if you've ever fancied yourself one, you might find it really interesting. But Claude Cowork lives in your computer, not on the web, so it can like do things on your computer for you. So, for example, I taught Claude every Monday. It will go through my Gmail. It will read all my emails. It'll prioritize them, draft replies, and give me a to-do list for the day. And it just does it. It doesn't say anything for me, but it sets me up to not have to go through like a super crazy inbox on Monday. I love it. It's great. It's got projects that you can build out based on, grouping different chats that you're working on based on project. And then skills are Claude's instruction packs that you write and teach and provide to Claude. You upload the document that you write that basically teaches it how to execute something the way you would every single time. So the primary difference between like a ChatGPT and a Claude is that ChatGPT learns as you go. When you first start, it knows zip about you. But as you go, it learns stuff so that it makes mistakes along the way, but it learns, right? With Claude and its skills, and it also has preferences, you basically can start from zero, providing all of this context about yourself. So on your first chat or interaction with it, it has all of that back data already. It knows all the things immediately. So you don't have to take time explaining it over and over for it to learn. I think that's, love it so much. I could spend up like the whole class talking about Claude. I won't, but check it out because it's super cool. Next up is Gemini. Gemini is Google's offering into the AI space. It is actually free for y'all because we pay as concepts for Google Workspace. So you have it available right now. So if you've not tried one and you're wanting a good like introductory LLM AI model, Gemini is perfectly fine. It's not my favorite. I know Becca's a big fan, but we all have our faves, right? It does really great deep research, and because it's in the Google Workspace, it has its fingers in Drive and Calendar and their email and Docs and Sheets, all the things, and it can pull data from your world essentially, which is really nice. And it's got a deep research function, which is great. So it's pulling from quality sources, all that sort of stuff. And this lives directly in your Gmail and all of the other apps. So it's already in there ready to roll. And last one is Copilot, which I, to be like so transparent, have zero experience with. It is Microsoft's version of a Gemini and ChatGPT. It lives in Microsoft 360, but it's Outlook, Word, like it lives there. So if you are a tried and true Microsoft user, this might be something you're A, already using or B, should check out. I am just not a Microsoft person and have not been for some time. But that is the fourth most popular used one. I'm guessing because it's pre-baked into the Microsoft ecosystem, so to speak. Okay. So now, once you've analyzed your options and picked your tool, the important thing, as I said, is to stick with it. You cannot build a good functional AI if you're like hip hopping between Claude and chat and just like you'd be teaching 4 different people the same thing over and over, and ain't nobody got time for that. Okay, so stick with your one and learn from it. Do your research up front and just learn it. Try not to get distracted too much by the new and the flashy. Okay. The most important thing I mentioned about getting your new AI set up is to not hip hop around, because you have to kind of treat it like a new hire. Okay, so if you in your business hired an assistant to come into your office every day and they sat down, you know that this assistant has maybe a college degree, maybe they I don't know, have done social media for a different industry, maybe they are, know nothing about anything. I don't know, but they have some knowledge in there somewhere. You know that, but you couldn't just drop a dot loop file in front of them and say, okay, do whatever it is y'all do with dot loop. You couldn't do that. They would not know what to do with it, right? They would just kind of stare at it and then ask you 1,000 questions. When you're training your AI, you have to think of it that way. Otherwise, it's going to be garbage in, garbage out. When you hand AI something with zero context, it is not going to have a clue what to do with it. AI only knows as far as your personal details as much as you tell it. It has access to the internet, all that jazz, okay, yes. But it doesn't know your specific brand. What font do you use for your logo? Do you hate putting exclamation points at the end of your sentences? What are your brand colors? What's the process of buying and selling in your business? It has no idea. You have to tell it these things. You have to train it to know how you execute. And if you don't, that's how you're going to get those really, really very obviously AI sounding outputs. We all know like the M dashes and it sounds like a robot because it's just making its best guess. And we don't want that. We want it to sound like you, to be an extension of you. And that does take work. It does. It's not a open it up and it's immediately going to be exactly what you need. It takes work, just like an assistant. It's a relationship we're building. Okay? If you can do that, AI is going to change your whole life. All right. Now, I mentioned garbage in, garbage out. That has everything to do with the way you're prompting. Prompt is what you put into any LLM, which is a large language model, which is fancy techno babble, or it produces long blocks of text as an output. Okay. Your prompt is what you will type into the little, it looks like a search bar, and it's what you're asking of the AI. If you do not give it all the details, it's going to fill in the blanks with its own assumptions, its own information that it's scraping from the internet, and oftentimes it's going to end up as that super generic, very clearly AI result. You need to put in the work up front. So these are the 4 things you have got to put in your prompts every time. And I promise it becomes second nature at a certain point. But you're going to start with the role and tell your AI who it is. Okay, maybe you're working on marketing right now. That's my default, obviously. So you will start off by saying you are a real estate agent's marketing assistant. You can go even further and say a marketing assistant for social media or in Des Moines or whatever. The more detail you can give it, the better. No such thing as too much. And then the next thing is going to be context. You're going to tell it the situation in its entirety. Be as descriptive as you can. And if you're like, I don't want to type that much, you can also talk to it. All of these allow us to verbalize with it. And some of them will even verbalize back, which is creepy and also cool and weird all at the same time. But you can verbally tell it what the situation is. And I mean, for me, I say weird shit from time to time. I like to make up my own words. I talk Claude those words when it responds, and we'll use them sometimes, which I think is really funny because then it sounds like me. But you give it all the details, tell it the whole situation, and then give it the task. Tell it what it's doing. What is it executing right now? For this one, it's a marketing assistant. So write a series of 6 drip emails targeting new leads in Des Moines, Iowa, so on and so forth. Tell it exactly what you want. And be so transparent. Because not only are you going to get a better result, but you're going to teach it for future use cases. Make your job easier on yourself going forward. And then lastly, tell it what to deliver. So for this here, if it's going to be a bunch of emails, maybe say I want a subject line, I want the body copy, include some emojis for funsies, and then put it all in a Google Doc or whatever it is that it's easy for you to work with. And then a little asterisk, because I should have put it on here, but it was already like even and stuff, I didn't want to mess with it. And at the end, every single time, what questions do you have for me? Ask it what it doesn't know. Just like an assistant sitting with you and you give them a project, you wouldn't say, all right, that's it, I'm out. You would say, okay, now what questions do you have? I guarantee you do it. I mean, y'all that work with me, you do it with me, you ask me what questions I have. So have it ask you, and it will ask you. And it will make it so much the better. Okay, so this here is an example of a bad prompt. I screen recorded Claude here. I said, write a social media caption for my new listing. And I hit enter. It's going to think for a minute. And Claude knows me so well that it actually went ahead and asked me questions anyway. Because when I set it up, I gave it the instructions to always ask clarifying questions. But it was like, who's the audience? What's the platform? What are some details about the listing? It doesn't know anything. So why would you start with this and hope for the best? That's just wasting your time. All right. So this is an example of a good prompt. I said, you are my social media manager for my real estate business. Yeah, I can't type when I'm being watched or screen recorded, apparently. I just got a new listing at 9718 Sunset Terrace, Clive, Iowa. I'm working on my social media campaign for this listing, write 5 captions to help promote this listing through the just listed, the just sold, include emojis and fun character elements in the captions. Write them in a Google Doc file. What questions do you have for me before you begin working? Question mark. I hit enter. It's nothing for a minute. I did speed this up because it took a sec. It asked me if it was for an agent or for concepts. One thing I love that Claude does is it puts this little pop-up guy of those questions, so I don't even have to type. It'll give me options. There's a type bar at the bottom, but it'll give me choices. So I'll select all the things I want. It's gonna go. Here are the details. And I think it's gonna pause because it took forever to do that. I mean, it takes a little bit, right? It's not, magic. So it's thinking. And I split it up so that we weren't sitting in 3 days. But it opens up on the left-hand or the right-hand side here, an actual Google Doc. This is already in my drive, this document here. But it's all of my captions, all the details throughout the lifetime of the listing, fully ready for me to copy and implement. And this is just a preview of what's already in Drive. So I don't even have to go and add it to Drive. It just is there. It's just there. Yes. Because that's one other thing Claude does is it connects to other applications. Again, I could talk about him all day. So that is a real clear difference of what happens when you do what you need to do up front and when you don't. With me? Okay, so now let's do some stuff, shall we? I came up with 5 different use cases that you can take today and use right now. The first one is going to be communication and follow-up. This here is a little bit of a duh. But the thing that we're not doing is doing this and using the output to create a library, okay? Communication and follow-up, I'm gonna guess, has you repeating yourself an awful lot, right? Even if it's not with the same client, maybe you're gonna end up getting the same or similar question from 2 different clients. And you have to then go write that same answer however many times. I do with y'all, if I'm honest, because I get a lot of the same questions, so I made one of these and it's been really helpful. But so basically, I mean, here's a list of things that you can do. I went ahead and put together a prompt to help you build that follow-up library. This one is particularly for texting. You can build this out in Bold Trail to go on for you. But this one, the prompt was, I said Des Moines, but short, DSM real estate expert. I showed a buyer 3 homes in Des Moines last Saturday. They seemed excited, but I haven't heard back in 4 days. Write a series of short, warm, non-pushy text messages to re-engage them that I can schedule to set up in the next 3 weeks. What questions do you have? This is what it set back for me. And what I would do if I were you guys is I would do something kind of like this. Maybe build it as a drip and bold trail, or just copy it into your notes app on your phone. So that way you can just reference back. You can build this follow-up library for future use cases. That way you're not having to ask AI to write it for you again. And you're also not having to regurgitate the same thing over and over. It's a small thing, but do you have a question?
These slides going to be available after this meeting.
And then some. Okay, yes. But yeah, so this is the kind of thing that you can build out and just hang on to and reuse. Okay. Content without the burnout. This one also seems like a no-brainer, but again, we're taking it a step further. Further. You know that you can write captions and get content ideas. We know that. But what I would love to see more of is building content across your social presence, not just writing a one-off caption for Instagram or TikTok or whatever. So one piece of content very easily can become all of these things. Very, very simply. And your prompt for that was, I just listed this home. This was the first house that was posted about in First to Know yesterday. Here, but I just bear with me. Incredible home in Clive, Iowa. I put the link in the prompt, but it was too long here. Using my writing style from those examples I shared, which I did way back in the beginning of my relationship with Claude. write a LinkedIn post, Instagram caption, email to my sphere, and a 30-second reel script. Now it did all of those things. I just went ahead and pasted the reel script because it was too long to put here. But it explicitly tells you what clips you need to film and what you need to say when. Very quick and very easy peasy lemon squeezy. Okay. And for y'all that are scared of video, okay, like it's so easy once you get over yourself and realize you got it. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm excited. I'm caffeinated. What do you want? There we are. The video, yeah. And Tina, well, I'm forgetting what I was saying. Shouldn't have acknowledged it. It's fine. Doing all of this stuff will make making videos so much less daunting, and it will give you a framework to repeat in the future. Okay. Yes, you still do have to actually film the video because the like AI bot people, like fake little, what there's a word for them that I'm forgetting, but they're fake humans that look like humans. Thank you. Avatar. Not good enough. Not even by a little tiny bit. So don't even try it. But this should make it a little less effort filled for you, at least on the front end. Okay, business operating systems. Highly, highly, highly encourage you. This is not terribly flashy, but I highly recommend thinking about it. Because a lot of what you guys do lives in your brains, right? It doesn't often make it out into a standardized instruction document of any kind. So if you were to then hire an assistant, you would then have to sit there and try and think of all the things you do, all the different platforms you use, all the people you work with, all of the brand elements that you are required to use and want to use, and you have to regurgitate that to this assistant. If you were to sit down and use AI to help you build an SOP, which is a standard operating procedure, you would never have to do it again. How exciting if you're growing a team. You could say, okay, team member, here is how we do stuff. Read this. Here is what is expected of you, assistant. I need this to happen here and this to go here and all this other sort of stuff. You would never have to do the regurgitating ever again. So the prompt I came up with for this is here. I did something very similar with my own team, actually, and but I twisted it for you guys. So the prompt says, I just hired a new marketing assistant and I'm working on standard operating procedures. I want to create a document detailing what needs to be done for every new listing all the way through the closing. I also want to create an SOP for lead nurturing and working my database. What questions do you have for me? This is a little bit broad because I don't know what y'all do, right? But what it did here that it was scrolling through is to create an 8-page document explaining exactly what the process is every single time. Every time. It is that way it can be your Bible, your reference guide to make sure you are doing all the things by your own book, that your assistant has a place to go and look up the questions it asks you or they ask you repeatedly. And it can live and drive. It can be, I don't know, wherever you keep your files. And it can be that reference point about your accounts and your branding and the legal requirements. What happens when something goes pending? What does your marketing assistant need to do at that point? It's all like that. Jeez. I built this for my own team just because it's always been a little more free flowing and I wanted a little more of a regimented process. And this has been phenomenal for us. And it also helped us kind of see where the gaps were too. Super helpful. There's all sorts of things that you can do of this in this nature, right? Like you can build your timelines, your I don't know, buyer seller guide content. You can, any sort of real like documentation, you can have AI built for you. And it's a lot less painful to do that. Promise you there. Okay, smart campaigns in Bold Trail. I said Bold Trail because that's what I use the most often for you guys. This will work for whatever CRM you use. But one thing that I feel about Bold Trail is it has just so many like pre-built templates They're all very generic. They're good. They're not, I mean, they're not bad. But they're generic templates for smart campaigns. And I look at the list, but it feels very overwhelming for me because there's like, I don't know, 40 of them. You have to click through and then read each individual message and tweak it here. And I don't sound like that. Make it be this. If I were you guys, I would do this I'm about to show you and put it into Bold Trail or whatever CRM smart campaign drip campaign you use. And then it's going to sound like you straight away. It's going to hit all the things you need it to hit without having to go and like parse the existing templates for what they say. Like, I just think this is faster. I don't know, more efficient. So this prompt is a lot longer, but necessary, right? We got to give it all the details up front. So I said, you are my marketing expert for my real estate business, helping me build out some custom smart campaigns in Bold Trail. For this new smart campaign, I want to work on a campaign that will consist of emails, text, and 2 postcards listed in Bold Trail as a task because Bold Trail doesn't send postcards. I don't know of any CRM that does. This campaign will target my past clients that specifically live in Des Moines, Iowa. I want this campaign to keep them top of mind with my clients beyond basic topics. The emails and text should include helpful context, events, homeowner tips, local updates, yada yada. The postcard tasks should be 1 invitation to a client event and 1 of the creative concepts for the mailers book. What questions do you have for me? Okay. And it then put out this whole document that's got first an overview of each one. And remember, it knows my voice already. It knows the things about me and the things I might actually say to somebody. And that's what's included here. So all you have to do is copy and paste, because I know you know how to do that. You just copy and paste and drop it into whatever drip campaign it is that you use, and you're ready to roll. I'm going to assign people to it first. That is important. Otherwise, nobody will ever see it. But this way, you're going to have to have it all set up and not have to worry about going and editing a pre-existing generic thing. I think that's pretty cool. I don't know about y'all, but I would definitely do this and take you through a whole year. And of course, you can edit this, you can review it and make changes, but it's a phenomenal starting point. All right. Website content and GDO. This is like the big one. And again, I could probably spend a whole class talking about this. I probably will at some point, but we are entering kind of like a new era of internet. That's a terrible way to phrase that, but the way people are engaging with websites online is shifting pretty tremendously at this point. Do we know what SEO is in here? Anybody want to yell it out? Here it is. I'm so proud. You guys, that's great. Relevant, but we're kind of, it's like secondary to GEO, which is generative engine optimization. Okay. Iterative. Yeah. What? No, sorry. Oh, never mind. Okay, proceed. Generative engine optimization. This is what is going to help AI register your website as a useful place to pull and parse data from. If you do not do this, AI will not pay attention to you. Point blank period. Your website could look the coolest and be the flashiest, but if you do not do these things, it doesn't care. Like, just to be honest. But the most exciting part about it is that you don't have to do it by yourself. Okay. Website content, I'm going to pause for a minute, because website content can feel like a absolute monster of a task, like creating what pages and what kind of content. I don't want to write all those things. Blogs take forever, which I'm going to admit, I was a big blog hater. I am reformed because they're very valuable, but not for the reason you may think. Writing all that stuff can feel very daunting, but like AI can do it for you. That's the beautiful part about it. Is you can fully build out your website in all the ways with all the bells and whistles and not actually have to write anything. It's so exciting. Okay, GEO. this is where I would start right now today with my website. Okay. I pulled a random website on the internet. I went to Minnesota because I didn't want to have any bias against anybody. So I went with the Diner Realty, Minnesota somewhere. And I went into Claude, and my prompt was, I'm working on updating my real estate website for GEO, analyze my website for GEO, make suggestions on ways to improve, content that is missing, pages that need to be expanded, what questions do you have for me? Then I pasted the link, okay? It generated a complete analysis of this website in minutes. And it told me straight up where the gaps are. And there were quite a few of them. And this is a pretty big real estate brokerage up there. So I was kind of surprised, actually. But then also not, because this is kind of new. Anyway, I then took the output and I was like, okay, that's way too long. Make it way shorter to fit on a slide. So that's why it looks kind of short here. But it started off with what they did well, a little bit of a pat on the back to start. We love that. It started off, they have qualified seller stats. They have a full service ecosystem. They talk about the other like resources clients have there, and that's all fine. When you get down to the gaps and things that need to be fixed, that's where the work will come in, okay? So they didn't have any FAQ content whatsoever, right? Which is odd. But y'all should do it. You should have an FAQ page, even if it seems stupid. Reason being, AI in a lot of ways is being used as a search engine. I mean, I know like for the millennials, we have been in like a relationship with Google since we were like toddlers. So my first instinct when I see a search bar is to talk to it like I'm Googling something. And that's not what the point of it is, but that's what a lot of us are using it for, you guys included. And if you don't have anywhere on your site that answers these kinds of questions, AI will think you don't know a darn thing. Okay? But AI can write your FAQ for you. We'll do that in a minute. It didn't have, it had weak neighborhood and community pages. AI search results are fed from local information. If it is outdated or too broad, it's not interested. It's going to pass you over so fast. So you need to build out those pages within an inch of their life. Include anything and everything that might be sort of relevant. Real estate related and just like lifestyle. And make sure it's up to date. There was no blog. Okay. And again, I'm a reformed blog hater. And I say you should have one, not because anybody's going to read it, because they're not. To be honest, no one's reading those, but AI is reading those. That's what's happening. Yeah.
Is there an AI search engine that would pull from like a YouTube content library and turn everything into blog posts?
I mean, you just give the link and it'll do it.
It will. Okay.
As long as it's, I mean, don't steal somebody else's stuff, but okay.
I don't think I would use it.
Yeah, if you give it the link, it'll do its thing. So yeah, the blogs, nobody's reading those, but blogs are constantly being published. Every so often, whatever frequency you set, you're posting a new thing with information that is updated and relevant right at this present moment. And that is the data that AI is parsing through to then promote your website as a reliable source. Okay. Like I said, AI is very hyper local too. Blogs tend to be pretty localized, or can be very easily. So if you teach your AI to write you a blog post a week and you just go and copy paste it onto your website, boom, yeah. How exciting. Right? And you don't have to be a writer or any of that nonsense. And then it gave me a to-do list at the end. So we had FAQ, add an FAQ section, update all the market stats, bonus points if you add last update and then the date next to it, because that straight up tells AI when it was updated last. It's a little cheat code, I guess. And then build out those hyperlocal local neighborhood pages with real-time data and update it. I don't want to say constantly, but like often. And if you train your AI correctly, you can do your website every couple weeks, once a month, and say, this is outdated, update this, and here's the updated content. So it may sound like a kind of a full-time job to update your website, but if you use the AI tools properly, it won't be. So I did have it run an FAQ page for me, and it asked me a bunch of questions. Based on my prompts, it gave me a FAQ for first-time buyers and sellers, an FAQ for experienced buyers and sellers, assuming they are buying or selling in a given area. I talked about where I am located, the areas I work in often. And in my prompt, I said, I would like to start looking on the FAQ section. Help me build a list of 15 most useful real estate questions buyers and sellers are looking up right now. When I put the date here, include a variety of questions and provide a good amount of detail for each question. We want to make local questions more broad, general questions. What questions do you have for me? I've said questions so many times. But giving it that kind of framework, it then did ask me questions about what I kind of wanted to do. And it gave me this entire document, not with the intention of putting just this document on my site. It was giving it to me with the intention of having a FAQ page. Maybe it's on my first time buyers page that I built out, and it's going to be a button just for buyers about first time home buying FAQs, and so on and so forth with the sellers and experienced buyers, experienced sellers. So all you gotta do is copy paste. Very, very simple. I mean, FAQs for the most part don't have to be like updated all the time. But again, it's good to keep an eye out and make sure there's nothing on there that is either outdated or that you're missing. One thing that I was really impressed with when I did this prompt was because it's connected to the internet, it's able to do a lot of that deep research. It asked me if I wanted to address the like EBA, SITch, and like commission and stuff. I didn't tell it none of that. But I was like, yeah, great idea, let's do that. Because it knows I work in real estate, it knows I am trying to be really, thorough with what I'm providing, and it went ahead and did that for me. I'm like, how helpful. And it can do the same thing with blogs, the same thing with neighborhood content. All of it you can do in a couple hours. All right. Now, a couple of guardrails as you are getting started, because it does, I mean, it's like open season over there. Like you can really do whatever. And when I say whatever, I mean whatever. We want to keep in mind that AI is on the internet, right? Unless you are paying for a paid version of any of these platforms, anything you put in there can be sourced for training other models. It can technically be hacked into. So you need to treat it like you would your email. We don't put personal, super personal data into AI, okay? I would hope you wouldn't do that, but I just wanted to say it. Because it's not a secure thing, all right? And then always read your output before you publish it. I know that seems silly, but AI is fallible. It does make mistakes, especially if you're just getting started and it doesn't know stuff about you or about your business or about whatever it is you're talking about. It will make mistakes. We had a brunch here a couple months ago, and Tony Berry randomly started quizzing me on Friends, the TV show, and I proved ChatGPT wrong, and it was like, oh yeah, I felt very vindicated. It's unfair, but sometimes you get wrong, and you need to tell it as such. Tell it when it's wrong, but always read through and remember that your first draft, your first output is a draft. Full stop. It is not a take and run with as is. You need to read it, okay? You need to make sure it sounds like you, make sure it's not like robot vibe-ish, like, is it gonna give any advice it should not? Is it making claims that are not relevant? Go through and read it. And rather than directly making the changes, I know this feels like, tell it what you need it to change and why. You will only have to do that once. Because once you tell it what is wrong and what needs to be fixed and how to fix it, it will know that for the future. It's kind of like that thing where, again, you have an assistant and you're like, I could do this so much faster. And like it kills you a little. I've been there, okay? But I'm like, I know this person, my AI assistant has the capabilities. I just have to give it the opportunity to do them. So tell it what needs to be fixed and give it the chance to do so. All right. It is not a magic wand that's going to fix all your problems. All right. Now, this is my gift to you. I went ahead and put together a 15 prompt starter kit for AI that you can start using right now today. That is going to help you with all of these use cases we went over today and then some. The prompts are generic because you need to then read them and customize them for your business. We'll post this somewhere too, so if you don't have it, you can grab it. But this will help you get started on whatever platform it is that you are working through, working on, trying to develop and get better at. Okay? Hopefully this will get you started. That's my AI spiel, guys. Does anyone have any questions that I can answer? Yeah.
Going back to that guardrails, it's like the first one, anything you put in there to use. What if I had put a couple like images, which and I said this cannot be used for anything else unless you get permission.
Doesn't care.
It doesn't.
No. The question was, can images be used without your permission if you put them into AI? Yeah, just assume as anything on the internet that you put on the internet, assume it can be used to train AI models or to be parsed for different things. Okay, just assume that. Was there cheater?
Can you tell us for Claude when you started, like some of the things we should be telling it at the beginning? You keep referencing that it knows you, it knows your language, it knows like how much details are you telling it? Like just give examples.
Yeah. So the question was about setting up Claude on the front side and how to get it up to speed really quickly. Claude's main difference is that it has preferences. So the very first thing you'll want to do is go into the settings of Claude, and there is I think it's under account and then preferences, and it's going to be just an open text box. I spoke mine because I tried to be as thorough as possible, and I would have been there for days. I told it everything. So I told it how long I've been here, what sort of things do I do, what brands do I support, how many agents, what cities are we in, who are my staff and what do they do, where are they located, what is my process for XYZ, what tools do we use. I rambled and he listened, which is very kind of him, but tell it everything. You can always go back and add, but that is step number one for sure. Anybody else have anything? Yeah.
What are some of the things that paid versions give you that free versions?
One of which is, so what's the difference between paid and free? One is going to be the security. Another is going to be, a lot of them will cap you at a certain number of exchanges or usages. So if you've talked to it too much that day, it'll cut you off and say, come back tomorrow, essentially, which is so annoying. So there are others, but that's it. Thank you guys. If you have questions, holler at me.
Oh, sorry. I just want to comment real quick.
Oh, say things.
Yeah, hey, I'm a IT guy. So I'm very worse. I live and breathe this AI.
You were going to be here. How scary.
Yeah. No, fantastic. This is a great presentation. I've sat through a lot of these. A lot of them are just kind of dumb. That's great. I don't mean to glaze you, but it's true. So, a couple of things. Copilot for Microsoft is actually just a wrapper around OpenAI. If you've used OpenAI, it's essentially the exact same thing, just with the Microsoft skin on it.
OpenAI is ChatGPT's parent.
Yeah, sorry, ChatGPT. So if you didn't love ChatGPT, you're probably not gonna love Copilot. It's just that plus a dusting of Microsoft stuff on top. So the current front runners are Google, Bing, and Claude. Claude by Anthropic is great, fantastic, and so is Gemini. They've leaps and bounds. It's always going to be an arms race to the top. But the answer we came with, start feeding it. Just keep teaching it. The nice thing though is if you really start hating what you're using, every single one of them has a way to import from the other guy. Yeah. So if you're using Gemini and you're like, I want to try Claude and I just don't know, you can just say, join Claude, say, hey, I want to import from Gemini. What do I tell Gemini?
Claude does actually do the back end on settings now, already written out.
Yeah.
That's, I don't know about the other ones, but that's what I did when I broke up with ChatGPT.
Yeah, but the only thing I would add here is like Madison was saying, it's like you see this demo from a Cutco knife guy, and you get the knife home and it's dull. Just know it's a great tool. You just have to hone it. You have to sharpen it. It's all about you. And you know, for better or for worse, AI is the future. So people are going to start using it. The difference here is you and your expertise. Once you hone it with your own information, with your own voice, like Madison is saying, it's going to come out. It's going to make stuff for you. It's going to supercharge your work. You just have to put the time in. It'll do it.
Preach.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. All right. Wait, hold on. Don't leave yet. You don't want to. I promise. Wait, don't leave.
So there's a couple of things coming up. One thing I want to tell you is that this brokerage is so lucky.
Oh, thanks. Oh, oh.
That stuff is amazing. You're not going to get that anyplace else at this time. So also, Concepts Cares, get one of those sheets. Have it take 10, 20 bucks a commission. You know, just get started on that, and that'll make a big difference. I want to tell you that this AI is never going to replace you, but the agent who uses AI might.